Firstly, I'd like to welcome you here today. So I just want to get straight into, in relation to the carbon tax, you said it's not your remit, but you collected in 2020 to 2023, you collected 1.36 billion. So that was supposed to target carbon taxes to help, I suppose, that the government are telling people that they're raising carbon taxes to ring-fence it so it would be reduced, so it would help reduce carbon emissions. So I just want to get down to the nitty-gritty of that. So if you haven't got the responsibility, Niall, who has the responsibility for that? Yourself, Dermot, is it?
The Department of Public Expenditure has policy responsibility.
Yeah, so you have a responsibility, so that's your job. What's your job again, Dermot? I just wanted to get clarity on that one.
I'm on the revenue vote.
You're on the revenue vote. So when you allocate, so 1.36 million has been allocated to target carbon emissions, is that correct?
No, I don't allocate that.
And what do you do with that 1.36 billion? Where did that go?
That goes into the Exchequer, and then it is...
It was into the Exchequer?
Into the central fund, yeah.
Central fund. But I thought it was supposed to go for carbon.
No, sorry, it's collected by revenue, as I understand, and it's put into the central fund. Then when the annual estimates are put to the Dáil and approved, the relevant departments have specific share out of the carbon fund to specific projects, and the Department of Public Expenditure has a metric for the allocation of the carbon fund to things like, say, fuel allowance, energy poverty efficiency, aggregate housing upgrade scheme, peatlands restoration, the Just Transition Fund, greenways, urban cycling, and continuation of EV purchase grants.
So just to stop you there, one of the ones that I noticed was carbon tax. It was supposed to be 1.5 billion and put into to incentivise farmers to farm greener and a more sustainable way. 1.5 billion was supposed to go in. I'm just wondering, and that was in the previous programme for government, I'm wondering, did that happen? Dermot, would you know if that happened? Saying...
I can't give you a specific answer on that, because, like, say, what happens is that the money there's something like 50 government votes, and I think those.
Yeah, but I want to know, because this is what was advertised in the programme for government, was that 1.5 billion would be put in to incentivise farmers to be greener. I want to know, did that happen?
I can't give you a
You
specific
can't tell me that. And who would I ask that question? Because that person should be here. Because we want to know where revenue or put the money's going into. Yes.
Can I just, if I could just explain, Deputy? Revenue collect the money.
Yes, I know revenue collect the money.
So that comes into the central fund.
So they collected this additionality, 1.36 billion from 2020 to 2023. I want to know where they put the money. That's what I want to know, because that was supposed to be for green.
What happened is
green projects.
Collected over, as I understand it, over the last 5 or 6 years, and then that comes into the central fund as government revenue. But in order for it to be spent on the objects for which it is intended, it has to be voted through individual votes for the relevant government departments and public bodies. So, I mean, you think you were talking about farming. I suspect that that's probably been voted through the Department of Agriculture vote.
Okay, so we'll need to get the Department of Agriculture in to ask them questions then. Is that what you're telling me?
I think the Agricultural Department would be responsible for money that's voted under their vote. And if that includes, as I suspect it does do, that they would be the Department of Agriculture. But they would only answer on that particular aspect. Other departments, for example, would have things like fuel.
So how much money did the Department of Agriculture get?
I don't have that immediately.
You don't know? So what is your job again? Do you not allocate money between each of the departments? No. So what is...
I mean, like I say, it's the government that actually allocates the money. So what happens during the money comes in from revenue, goes into the central fund.
Okay.
But all public money has to be voted by the Oireachtas.
I just find it, Dermot, you've come in here today to explain to us where the money is going. Is that not correct? And now you can't tell me where the money's going. I want to know for the farmers, because they were told 1.36 billion between 2020 and 2023 was going to be used to target and make farmers more green. But that, to me, that hasn't happened.
My specific responsibility is actually for the expenditure by the Revenue Commission.
Sorry, Seamus, sorry.
But the 1.5 billion for agriculture was actually between 2020 and 2030. What we reported was that in the first 3 years, actually first 4 years, 110 million had been allocated to the vote for agriculture, but all of that wasn't actually spent on the green schemes that was expected. Yes. And so I think 60 million of that was returned to the Exchequer.
How much, Seamus, was returned?
60 million out of 110.
60 million out of 110 was returned that wasn't allocated to the specific target measures? Okay.
And then a further 4 million was carried over into 2024.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, like, who's in charge of that who's in charge of that, or who has oversight that 60 million was not spent?
Well, obviously the Department of Agriculture, because they received the 110 million, they are accountable for the spending of it, or for where it fails to be spent. The more general point that's coming out of this is that the ring fencing, or the semi-ring fencing of the money that was collected for carbon transition purposes and so on, that effectively that system is failing to ensure that the money is spent for the purposes intended. So it's a regularity problem in terms of the purpose for which it was collected. It's to a significant degree is failing to be delivered.
So the money that is being collected, you're saying to me, Seamus, the money that's being collected is just going back into general taxation fund.
Exactly.
It's not actually targeting anything green.
That's the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to bring the Department of Agriculture in on that and just see what's going on. My next question then, just in relation to capital acquisitions tax. There's an exemption for paying capital acquisitions tax if you inherit or receive a gift of a certain heritage, including houses. This exemption has been applied to over 30 million worth of property since 2016. Saving a small number of people 4.4 million in taxes. I'm just wondering, why would that happen? Because most people with capital acquisitions tax, they have to pay, but is it people with properties of heritage, they don't have to pay? Is that what's happening here? Or maybe somebody can explain that to me?
There's legislation that exempts it.
Okay.
So the legislation exempts it. There's certain conditions in the legislation. I hadn't expected to be, and certainly get back to you on it before the meeting is over. I'll just get the detail on it. But
do you have a list maybe of the relevant houses, the houses that were exempt? Yeah, you can provide that for me. And is that open to the public? The public can see that as well, who has to pay a tax and who doesn't have to pay.
There's details published in relation to the capital acquisition tax heritage visits every year. And I hadn't anticipated a question about it, but I certainly will have that detail before the meeting's over. Yeah,
that'd be great. Thank you. Just wondering about Maltese pension transfers. Is it legal to transfer a pension that has reached a standard fund threshold to another state? And is there a justifiable reason why people would do that? I'm just wondering, I've seen suggestions just that people would be, that they could transfer their pensions to Malta and they wouldn't be taxed on it. I'm just wondering, does Revenue investigate this?
There are rules around the transfer of pensions between various member states. There has been a number of transfers in relation to Malta that are subject to examination.
And is there investigations ongoing at the moment?
There's interventions ongoing at the moment.
Interventions?
Yeah. Investigation has a particular meaning in relation to tax inquiries that usually involve criminal acts. So we prefer to use the term intervention, which covers our compliance interventions.
How many interventions is going on?
There is something in the region of there probably something in the region of 35.
35?
Yeah.
Okay. What size of pensions would they be?
I don't have the detail of the specific size of the.
So maybe you could give me the detail of that 35 that are being investigated?
Subject to taxpayer confidentiality.
Yeah, I'm not asking for the name specifically, but I am asking. I just want to see.
Yeah. But we're quite, and we talked earlier with Deputy Murphy about our structure. So we have a branch in High Wealth Individuals looking specifically at pension and pension compliance and compliance with the legislation. Yeah. And it's very active.
Okay. Just going back to the carbon tax, I just meant to ask the CNAG, it's just not acceptable, the CNAG, I just wanted that on the record, that only 61% of the money being allocated to them target measures under the carbon tax, only 61% are not being accounted for. Is that correct? Am I correct?
No, everything is being accounted for. It's just that the money which was intended to be, it's described generally as hypothecation of tax. So a tax that's collected for a specific purpose, the system that is used to dispose of that to spend that money is not achieving demonstrably the effect that was intended. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, would the government not be doing something about that to ensure that people, when they're being taxed, that their taxes are going to they're going to the correct place, that they're being told? They're being allocated, but not in the correct way, but it's not actually being delivered, and then the money is being taken back. Do you think that's acceptable, CNAG? Well, it's not really for me to say whether it's acceptable or not. I'm reporting the fact that it's not happening as intended.
Thank you, Deputy Bennett. You're significantly